We're now in Queen's College, which is another late Tudor establishment, and we start. It has some really quite interesting architecture from that period, but I'm starting with one of the first buildings that we will have seen that was constructed in the 20th century, which is the Cripps building, of which there is an analogous as named the same in St. John's. I think what's distinctive about 20th century architecture in Cambridge, certainly within the colleges, is that it's mediocrity. One finds often rubbish piled up against the walls because people don't care for or love the buildings that they're in. And I've often asked myself why it is that 20th century college architecture is so poor compared with all the other centuries in which buildings were added. And I've concluded that it's because of the impersonal system for commissioning new buildings in our time. Most of the buildings that you've seen so far were probably designed and realized by two men. One would be the college official, the master or some equivalent, and the other the architect. And they made a building that realized their own personal vision. But in the 20th century, and as we'll see later, also to some extent in the late 19th century, college architecture came to be defined by bureaucratic interests established by committees. But there's one other aspect that I would draw your attention to. We saw in Downing and Pembroke how the Victorians broke with the medieval cloister pattern. What is remarkable about most 20th century buildings is that they restore the medieval cloister, as indeed here. And this, I think, reflects the cultural weakness, lack of confidence and vision that has animated 20th century building here, and it may reflect also the bureaucratic methods through which new buildings were commissioned. This is the famous Mathematician's Bridge at Queen's. It was originally conceived of as a construction that it had no nuts and bolts or screws, but essentially supported itself on mathematical principles without any connection. This is one of my favorite courts in Cambridge, in Queen's, because of the variety of architecture and perspective. This building over here is based on principles, 15th century Tudor principles that were realized in the building of country mansions and their like. It's quite unique in Cambridge and I think rather beautiful. Is there any? I don't know whether you want to take this at all. I have nothing to say about it, really.